Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to an updated bookshelf tour. The last time I posted a video like this, it was only 4 months ago, but I did reorganize my whole bookshelves last week, and that video is already up on my channel if you want to go and watch that video and the way that I organized them. So that means, of course, I had to film a new updated tour because I can't have an outdated tour up on my channel. The way I'm going to do this tour, I'm actually going to show you guys my little library room as well. So I'll give a tour of the room and an overview of the shelves, and then I'll go more in depth and talk about the books a little bit more. Before I get into it, make sure to stay and subscribe if you want to see more content from me, because I would love to have you here. Without rambling on too much, we're just going to get straight into the tour. Okay, so to start off with, this is what it looks like when you enter my little library room. So in the corner there is my whole bookcase, and I believe I have over 600 books. That's what I counted last week. So that is insane, and I feel like it doesn't actually look like 600 books, but at the same time it does look like a lot of books. The reason why I reorganized the books is because I actually added an extra bookshelf. So as you can see, some of my shelves are a little bit more like tight and pushed together. So over here I just have this little chair. I honestly don't really use it much. I think I said this in my last video too. I used to use it to like film on, but it's just not really comfy to read on because I can't really get cozy in it or anything. And I just have a couple of blankets like folded over the back of it as well, which don't look that great, but that's okay. And then I also have a little jelly cat there. Her name is Luna. The rug on the floor is just from Kmart. I actually only got this last week as well. And then I just have this stool that I kind of keep floating around because I actually can't reach the shelves at the top without it. Then over on this side I have my new desk, which I'm literally obsessed with. Probably looks the same as my old desk, but this desk is so much bigger, and it's actually a standing desk so you can put it up and down. I also bought a walking pad, which I've just kept here so I can like move it here and do some walking. On top of my desk I just have this little gold lamp. I have some crocheted flowers and this little flower puzzle thing that I made, my Mac obviously that I edit on, and then this little shelf thing which I need to organize a little bit more. And then underneath here I've just got some drawers as well, and my ring light over there. Now going onto the bookshelves, so I'm going to explain the way that I've organized them a little bit, but as I just said, if you want to see the more in-depth organization video, definitely go and watch that. But pretty much I have kept the first 3 shelves at the top all romance. So for example, instead of doing like a whole shelf down being romance, I've kind of kept them going along instead because I just feel like that makes more sense. The next 3 shelves after that, so 1, 2, 3, all the way across, are like my fantasy, sci-fi, dystopian sort of books. And then at the bottom, which you can't really see that well right now, I've kind of just kept like literary fictions, thrillers, like all of the genres that don't really fit into other categories. So they're kind of like my random genres, I like to say. And I've also kept quite a few books front facing on display, like my favorite books, but I will go through that when I go through the shelves. Okay, I'm standing up on my trusty little stool right now. So starting off with the shelf at the very top, I've got my Magnolia Park series and my Boys of Torment series. These are like the original covers, kind of like indie print covers. So I keep these ones at the top because they are very large paperback. And then my Boys of Torment series, very excessive, but it is my top favorite series ever. So these are also the indie published covers, which only go up to Redeeming 6, unfortunately. Then I've got these US covers that have like the matching ombre spines as well. I did have to go out of my way to find Binding 13 because they originally sent me one with just like a black spine, but now I have the whole set matching, which I love. Then I've got this special annotated edition of Archer's Voice. I've got this on display because, as I just said, it is a special edition, and the Eden series by Debony Perry. I have another set of the Magnolia Park series and the Boys of Torment series. These are like the more traditionally published editions, and I've kind of kept them underneath their top ones just because these are the shorter versions, these are the taller versions, and I wanted to keep them in the same spot. Then I have some books from Carly Fortune. I have Every Summer After, Meet Me at the Lake, and This Summer Will Be Different. All of my Ali Hazelwood books, which I should probably actually get rid of some because I don't actually like Ali Hazelwood's writing that much. Some books from Sarah Adams, and then I've also just put Out on a Limb here by Hannah Bonham Young because it just fit there perfectly. Then onto the next shelf I have the Twisted series and the start of the King of Wrath series by Anna Huang. The Twisted series was one of the first romance series I read, and I really liked it when I read it, and I actually ended up meeting Anna Huang, I think it was like 2 years ago now. So my copy of Twisted Games, which was my favorite, is actually signed as well, which is one of my most prized possessions for sure. Then we have my Lucy Score book. So I have the Knock 'em Out series. As you can see, the spines don't match. It's very frustrating, but I bought the first one when it wasn't traditionally published in Australia, and then the next 2 I bought when they were, but for some reason they flipped the titles. which is really annoying. I don't really care enough to rebuy them and change it, to be honest. I also just have Buy a Thread by Lucy Score, which I haven't read yet. Then I have a few books from Sally Thorne, a couple of books from Lauren Jackson, and then the Windy City series by Liz Tomford. Recently read Mile High and I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I expected. So I'm very excited to continue this series, and I did just buy the new book that just came out recently, which is Play Along. Then I have my Ashley Poston books, my paperback copy of Archer's Voice, and some Kathleen Glasgow books. Okay, moving over to the next three shelves. I'm going to go through these ones next. I have my Heartstopper series by Alice Oseman. I have quite a few like random books up here that kind of don't really fit anywhere else because they're like one books that I have of a specific author. I have a couple of like Colleen Hoover books up here as well that honestly I just don't want to get rid of because they like hold a special place in my heart because they were like the books that got me back into reading. Then onto this second shelf I have my Lauren Asher books. I actually have a lot more than I expected. I have the Dreamland Billionaire series, which I've only read the first. I have this new series, the Dreamfront Billionaire series, I believe, and then I have the indie published edition of Throttled, which I also haven't read. Love Lauren Asher's writing, but definitely need to read some more of her books. Then I've got all of my Abby Jimenez books. I've currently only read Part of Your World, and I'm currently reading Yours Truly, which is why that's not up here. And I love her writing style. I know I'm going to be binging every single book from her. My Lynn Painter books, and then all of my Al Kennedy books, which is like the off-campus series and a couple of standalones, and the little If He Had Been With Me series. Then onto this next shelf, I have a couple of Krista and Becca Ritchie books. So I have this standalone called Dishonestly Yours. I believe this is like a newer release and I'm very excited for it. Then I just have the Addicted / Calloway Sisters series, but I don't actually have them all yet. I have 5 books from Mariana Zapata, which I've read 2 out of the 5 of them. All of my Tessa Bailey books, the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy, and To All the Boys I've Loved Before. And then I just have some more sort of like random romances here. Going onto this like little middle shelf, I used to have this as like a little display shelf. Honestly, it was just taking up way too much space, like displaying so many books, so I decided to just make the books go all the way along. So I have a couple of little romance books up here that are just very tall and didn't fit on the other shelf. And then I have this special edition of Die For You by Lauren Jackson, which I haven't actually read yet, but this special edition is absolutely stunning. Down here I have the Chestnut Spring series. These are the indie published editions as well. Wild Love and the start of Elsie Silver's other series. It's just being traditionally published. The Maple Hills series by Hannah Grace. I know the 3rd book literally just came out, I believe yesterday, so I definitely need to go and buy that. And then I have Butcher and Blackbird and Leather and Life by Bryn Weaver. Then on this next shelf I have all of my Emily Henry books. I absolutely love her writing. Then some more random little romances, and then 1,000 Boy Kisses and 1,000 Broken Pieces by Tilly Cole. Now onto the last 3 romance shelves, which is the very last shelf on the corner. At the top I have all of my dark romances. I've just tried to keep them all in the same place, even though I'm not a massive dark romance reader. I've just ended up accumulating a lot for some reason. Next shelf, this one is probably the most random one out of all of these romance bookshelves. I have some books from BK Borison, so I've got Love Light Farms and In the Weeds, the Rebel Blues Ranch series by Lila Sage, some more like little random standalone romances. I have my Alice Oseman novels, some more random romances, and then on this last romance shelf I have this edition of Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. This is honestly such a cute edition. It is the Steamy Lit edition and it's also a signed copy. Love and Other Words like is a book that truly holds such a special place in my heart. Then I've got all the rest of my Christina Lauren books, some more random books, and then all of my like Christmassy sort of romance books. I try to keep all of the like holiday and Christmassy sort of books together, and I've just like tucked them in a corner so they're not like that noticeable, because like I don't even know what you do with them for like the time of the year that isn't Christmas, which is literally like 90% of the year. Anyway, now onto my fantasy shelf. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing with the 3 shelves. So I have this like little Belladonna trinket tray thing. I haven't actually read Belladonna. I think this is a really cute decoration. I got it from a Fairy Loot box. Then I just have this little box thing. It's got nothing in it, but it's got a bee on it. I did have this with my Magnolia Parks Universe series, but it just doesn't really fit up there with them, so I've just kept it here instead. Then I actually have the ARC copy of Powerless by Lauren Roberts, which I bought recently off someone. Technically I didn't buy it actually. I actually traded a book that I had with this and a few other books. So I'm very excited to have this on my shelves, and I know it looks the exact same as the normal copy, but of course I have to have it on display. I love this book. So I have a couple of quite popular fantasies here that I haven't actually read, like Dance of Thieves, A Study in Drowning, A River Enchanted. The Book of Azrael I want to read very soon, soon, so I've heard great things about it. Belladonna, which matches that little trinket. I have some Eric Morgenstern books and then some more little random fantasy books here. Then onto this shelf I have my Sarah J Maas books. So I have the ACOTAR series, obviously. Actually, it wasn't one of the first series that I read when I got into fantasy, and honestly I think that's a little bit overrated, but we'll see how I feel when I go into her other series. So obviously I have those, and then I've got the Throne of Glass series, which I also have not started yet. Then I have the Caraval trilogy, the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, missing the last book, but I do have other copies of those on another shelf down here. And then the Cruel Prince trilogy by Holly Black. And down here I have some other little standalone fantasies. I have some sprayed edge books that are like facing outwards so you can see them. I have the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. As I just said, these are like the large paperback editions that came out in Australia. I have the Fairy Loot edition of The Crimson Moth by Kristen Cicerelli, which I'm obsessed with. Probably one of my favorite Fairy Loot editions I own. Don't want to take it out though because all of those books are just gonna fall. I have the Arc of The Crimson Moth, which I'm also obsessed with. And then all of my Olivia Blake books, I've actually only read one of them, but for some reason I just keep buying them. Okay, now on to the next three. To start off, I have the Selection series by Kira Cass. I have some of the books in the Akane series by Lynette Noni. I bought the first one and then I bought a couple from a friend secondhand, and they're not in order at all. I just bought them because they're actually quite expensive to buy new. Then I have the Whisper duology by Lynette Noni, which is amazing. It's so underrated. Prison Healer, only the first book though, and then I have some more Cassandra Clare books here. So I haven't actually ever read Cassandra Clare. I definitely need to do that very, very soon, but I've been putting it off for a very long time just because I'm honestly scared that it's not going to live up to the hype for me. But I am going to start with City of Bones when I do read one of her books. Then I just have some more little fantasies here. This one is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Then over here I just have a little Lego of Dobby because I recently read and watched Harry Potter for the first time. But anyway, next I have the Red Queen series by Victoria Aveyard, which I also haven't read. I have some books by Marissa Meyer. So I've got Cinder and the Renegade series. Neither of these series are the full series. So Cinder, my mum recently read the whole series and absolutely loved it. And then the Renegade, I believe there's another one or maybe two books after these two. The Six of Crows duology, the Powerless trilogy. I have the Shepherd King duology as well, which I really, really liked the first book, and then the second I didn't really love that much. And also these two books, Assistant to the Villain and Apprentice to the Villain. I bought this one recently because it just came out, but I've had this one sitting on my shelf for a while, but now I have this like sudden urge to really, really want to pick these two up. So I'm hoping they live up to the idea I have of them in my head. Then on this shelf here I have my sprayed edge copies of Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, the paperback editions. I have my paperback of When the Moon Hatched and the Fairy Loot edition of it as well. Serpent and the Wings of Night duology, the Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies little duology as well. More little fantasy books obviously, and then the Divine Rivals trilogy and also US hardback as well. Then on the display shelves I have the Minna Lima editions of the first three books in the Harry Potter series. Only just found out that they've apparently decided not to continue those, which is quite frustrating, but what can you do? I feel like this happens quite often. And then I just have these, I don't even know what to call them, like pop things, pop vinyls, is that what they're called? I have one of Hermione and Sirius Black. It was actually book week this week as I'm filming this, and I work in a primary school, so I actually dressed up as Hermione. So I'll put a little photo on the screen because I think I slayed that outfit, to be honest. Then I've got the Twilight series here, which I have never actually read. Then I've just got this little crate here and it's got a bunch of really cute bookmarks in there. And then on this last shelf I have some more sprayed edges. So I've got the Divine Rivals duology, the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, the Dance of Thieves duology, and then two other random fantasy books. But I just love sprayed edges, like I just can't stop buying them, so of course they've got to be on display. And then we have my last three fantasy shelves before we go on to the other shelves. So I have the Shatter Me series by Tahara Murphy. Who else is excited about the spin-off series that's coming out? When I saw that I was literally like, oh my god, like the Shatter Me series was one of the first series that I fully completed and I still think about it all the time. Like I love that series so much. And I've got the Serpent and Dove trilogy. I have Lightlark and Nightbane by Alex Astor, Heir of Broken Fate and Heir of Broken Kingdom by Mads Rafferty, the Divergent series, the Hunger Games series, and just this random, I don't even know if this is a romance book, but I just bought it once. It's like a little mini hardback. just bought it because it's really cute, so I just thought I'd keep that there. Then I have my Harry Potter paperbacks, of course. I've got the Percy Jackson books, which I have never read either. My mother-in-law just gave them to me, so I'm definitely going to try to read them very soon. Then I have some V.E. Schwab books, and this is another book that I bought just because I liked the cover. No idea what it's about or if I'll ever read it, but it's pretty. And in the last shelf I have The Unmaking of June Farrow. I have a bunch more sprayed edges facing outwards. I have this special edition of Heir of Broken Fate by Mads Rafferty, which I'm obsessed with. The paperback of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab, so I've kind of kept that underneath those smaller paperbacks. First two books in the Zodiac Academy series. Recently read the first and loved it, so I just bought the second, and it was literally delivered a couple of hours ago. Quicksilver by Kelly Hart, some more random books, and then I have the first two books in the Crescent City series, the hardback, and this collector's edition of A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I got out of a book box. Okay, sorry for the kind of weird angle, but now onto the last two shelves across the whole bottom. So to start off with, I have some classics on display. These are like the soft hardback classics. I don't really know how to explain them, but they're so pretty, so I put them like on an angle. And then this is a hand-painted edition of Persuasion. Then I've got some paperback classics as well, which I've never actually really read classics. Definitely want to get into them though, and my mum's bought me quite a few of them just as like really pretty books. Then here, these are all like sort of literary fictions. I don't really know what other genre you'd put them under. They're kind of just like general fiction. I don't really know. Same goes along here. These are some more like general fiction books. I've got this hardcover of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This is a sprayed edge edition of Tom Lake. I have some more little general fiction books. I have all my Taylor Jenkins Reid books as well, and yeah, just some more general fiction, literary fiction. I honestly don't really know the difference. Then onto the next two. These two are mainly like YA mystery thrillers, so I've got the Good Girls Guide to Murder trilogy and some more Holly Jackson books as well. I have some Sally Hepworth books, the Natural series, this little series from Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Hated the first book though, so I'm definitely going to get rid of these two. The Inheritance Games trilogy, the One of Us is Lying trilogy, all of my Frida McFadden books, which I wish I had physical copies of all of her books, but they're quite expensive because they are like not all traditionally published. The start of the Trillia Devia series, I've only got 2 books, but I believe there's like 4 or 5. Then down here I have some more thrillers pretty much all the way along. This series is the Dial A for Auntie series, which I have read the first 2 books and absolutely loved them. Haven't read the third one yet, but honestly I wouldn't consider these thrillers. I honestly don't even know what genre these come under, to be honest, but great recommendation. Some more thrillers along here, and then down here I kind of just have some more random general fiction books, which does not make sense whatsoever, but I kind of just had to put them there because there wasn't any space on the other shelf. In this middle shelf I have a bunch more mystery slash thrillers, and then down here I sort of have more like non-fiction books, like memoirs, self-help books, like all different books that don't really fit anywhere else. And then over here I pretty much have 2 entirely empty shelves. So I have this hardcover of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which is the first book. I have this little display thing with all of my Sunny Angels, very cute. And then I have another little jelly cat over here, of course, because I buy things that are for children. Anyway, that was the last bookshelf that I had to go through, so I really hope you guys enjoyed this tour, and I hope you got some like ideas and recommendations from this as well. I tried to keep it like as short and sweet as possible without like yapping on too much, because I feel like I do that every single time I film one of these. But I am like literally obsessed. Like I honestly just come in here and look at my bookshelves. I know that sounds really weird, but I just stare at them and I'm like literally mesmerized that this is in my house, and I'm so grateful, and I'm so grateful to all of you guys who constantly support me. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and stay and subscribe. But with all of that being said, I will see you in my next one.